I'm going to start with what I'm wearing on my face. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought it would be fun to go through my collection and pull out some fall feeling palettes, things that just make me think of the weather as the leaves are changing, the colors are changing, the weather is changing. I don't care for summer and I am so excited for fall. So let's get through my collection and look at some fall palettes. I'm going to start with what I'm wearing on my eyes today. Today's eyeshadow look was filmed. I will link that video down below for you. The palette that I actually used 3 palettes for today, but one of them is the Flare palette from Ace Beauté. What I had done for this look was there were 2 colors I wanted to use, and then I let my daughter choose 2 other colors, and she chose this palette, and then I also had a palette pull-in, so I ended up with 5 colors. That's today's look. So for today, my daughter chose this shadow and this one, and obviously they were incorporated in today's eyeshadow look, but I think that the Flare palette from Ace Beauté is really a beautiful fall color story. It's so rich and pigmented. I love these colors together. I love how you have these warmer, pumpkin spice kinds of tones with the oranges and the reds. But then they pulled in these more companion colors of purple and pink and mauve and a little bit of mustard yellow. And then I love the bottom row because these are more unexpected colors that you might not think of for fall, such as a bright Caribbean blue and a neon acid yellowy green, but they still work and they're nice like pops of interesting tones to go with the rest of the more expected colors of this palette. I think that this one is really beautiful. I bought it in the old formula and I enjoyed it so much that I replaced it with the new formula, and it's great. It's one of my all-time favorite palettes. Along the same lines of very deep and moody, sort of sultry kinds of colors, I pulled out the Orchid Do Not palette from ColourPop. I have decluttered most of my ColourPop palettes, but this is one that I keep around because I think it's really lovely. I just love these rich, deep, moody, sultry berry tones. They're so pretty. This is a color which works on my skin tones, which might, maybe that's why I like it also. But overall, I think the formula is very good in this palette, and the color story, while it's not the most varied, it's varied enough that you can get a couple of different looks. There is a light shimmer here, and the other shimmers have some slightly different undertones. I wish that there were a bit more variety in the mattes. I wish that we had maybe 2 lighter toned mattes, maybe a pastel, and then maybe more of a mid-tone, and then complement them with the deeper tones overall. But I think that the palette is really lovely aside from that one sticking point. The quality is good, like I said, but the color story is just like mulled wine. It's so beautiful and deep, and you can get some smoky looks, or you could stick with one or two of the lighter tones and go a little bit softer. It's really fun to pair this palette with other things. It would be beautiful with browns, with oranges, with reds, with pinks. If we want to stay in the more murky forest harvest sort of colors, we could go more deep greens or blues. It's very versatile. You can pair it with lots of things, and it's lovely. Let's jump into Oden's Eye for a minute. Here's the Saga of Freya Cat's Breath palette. This is one of the oldest palettes in my collection, honestly. I think it's great. I love this color story. I think that this is orange and blue done really well and without any repetition and without being gimmicky. There are a couple other orange and blue palettes on the market, and I think they're pretty, but they're not as good as this one. And I love the formula, and the packaging is cute and it's different. It's not a collaboration. It's just great overall. I think the performance of this palette is beautiful, and this one, I may have featured this in a different season's video, but I also think that this one is more fall because of these beautiful, richer orange, greens, and brown tones over here. But then we have these 2 shades, and even these 2, honestly, but especially these 2, which are kind of a whisper of the coming season. It's a little bit of winter mixed in with the fall. So I kind of feel like you could go a bit more icy and cool, or you could go a bit more soft and warm and grounded. It's versatile, despite the fact that it's only 9 shades, and it's great quality. It's great overall because it's Oden's Eye, but I think that this one is a nice fall palette. Colored Rain has a couple of color stories actually, which would easily fit in this video. I'm thinking like the Secret Garden palette for one, but the one that I own is actually the Queen Bee palette, and this one jumped out at me as a fall feeling palette. It's only 6 pans, but I mean, this is small but mighty. It's amazing. These shadows are incredible quality. They're so pigmented, and the color payoff is amazing. You get beautiful performance. They're easy to work with. There's a lot of colors, so go in lightly. You can always build it up. But I think this is a great fall palette. Just, I mean, look at it. Is this not apple pie in one sitting? You've got some orange, some brownish, yellow, black, and then you have 2 really truly remarkable shimmers. It's so beautiful. You can go a couple of different directions despite the fact that it's only 6 pans because of the variety and the versatility within the color story. So you could go more neutral, or you could go really bright, or you could go really contrasty. You can deepen it, you can keep it soft. This shimmer here is a more neutral tone, so you could get highly sparkly and shiny, but on the softer side of the color spectrum. Or you can use the shimmer, which is duochrome at least, and it's really bright and reflective, and it's going to be gold and green and silver. It's a pretty remarkable palette, honestly. Great packaging, great formula. It's a winner. This next palette is my favorite that the By Beauty Bay brand has launched. This is the Wilderness palette. I think that this is great. This is also one of the oldest palettes in my collection, and it does make an appearance in a lot of these kinds of videos. Maybe not seasonal, but just in general, like best of the best, Wilderness is one of them. I think this color story is very autumnal, particularly in the second, the lower half, of course, but overall, it's really a beautiful and well-balanced palette. You've got lightness, you've got depth, you've got these rich harvest tones, more green, yellow, mustard, and then the red, burgundy, orange tones over here. If you want to, you can lighten it up here. The shade here is not a true white, it's more of a bone matte. Or you can make it a little more whimsical with the greeny teal side of things, but overall, this palette just feels very fresh and natural to me. Like you went into a forest and you just pulled all these different colors and everything's working together. So you've got the color changing leaves and the variety in different foliage. You've got some trees that stay green, you have some that go yellow, some that go orange, red, or right away the leaves drop off and they're just brown. There's a lot of variety, and this palette represents all of that. ColourPop has to make an appearance in one of their best collaboration palettes ever. This is at Forest's site when they worked with Raw Beauty Christie, and I think that this one kind of goes without saying. I mean, let's just look at the packaging. Does everybody know this palette? Are we familiar with the at Forest site palette? It's kind of classic. This palette is so fall to me. It really is. Again, talking about embodying the colors, the food and the decor and the season, like what's happening outside our windows. This palette embodies everything. It's got a few shimmers. Both of them manage to be warm toned. This is more of a silver brown shimmer, and then this is the gold shimmer, but they're both warmer. The silver is leaning a smidge cooler, but overall, because it has so much brown in it, it's a warmer brown, and it's just, the whole palette is very grounded and practical. There's no frou-frou fanciness. There are no wild, bold colors in here. It's all very earthy and feels natural. Still gives you beautiful colors, beautiful tones and shades. You can get some lovely looks in this one. I do wish I had one or two lighter mattes, but overall, it's a lovely palette, honestly, and it's great for the fall season. So if you have this one, I recommend pulling it out. Now, I am not the sort of person who does her eyeshadow based on the season that we're in. I really just do whatever I want to do. Here's a palette which is extremely seasonal as far as the theme and the packaging, but the color story is extremely versatile, and this is the Merry Christmas palette from Oden's Eye. This was one of last year's holiday releases. Amazing palette. I now own both of them because someone gave me the Christmas Eve. I'm so excited. But here's the Merry Christmas. And while there are a couple of colors in here that might, or maybe a few color combos that might make you think of Christmas Day, overall I think that the palette is certainly warmer, and when I think Christmas, I think snow. So I think cool tones. So this one feels more fall to me, more autumnal, again, harvest, like the colors that you see if you walk into Hobby Lobby or AC Moore, Michael's, or the home goods stores, and you see all of the fall decor. These are the sorts of colors you see. You see the rich orange and browns and golds and creams, very warm tone, very inviting, very cozy feeling, and I think that this palette captures those feelings as well. The performance is amazing, the packaging is amazing, the formula is top-notch. You really cannot go wrong. Two more palettes to talk about. Here's one that, quite frankly, I'm surprised that it's still in my collection, but then I'm not. This is the Strawberry Feels palette from Jaclyn Cosmetics. This palette is mediocre. It's not great. It's really not. It is kind of an unexciting color story. There's not a lot of variety, and the formula is okay. It's not amazing. I mean, I think almost every palette in my collection is a better formula than this. That being said, it's not bad, and there's something about these tones which I really, really enjoy. I love that it's pink, but not too pink. It's red, but not too red. It's wine, but not too wine. There's some burgundy. There's a little bit more of a fuchsia lean. There's a little bit of orangey browns over here, but then there's a lot of pink in those colors. The undertones of this palette are what captured my attention, and every time I wear it, the look is pretty much the same. There's not a lot of variety that I get, but I love the look every time. I just love these tones on myself, and that's why it is still in my collection, despite the fact that it's probably the lowest quality that I own. I do like that it has a white matte. It's not the most remarkable white matte, but it's not bad either. And I love to do a matte white inner corner, or you can use this white matte to soften the other tones. It's got two shimmers, so it's matte heavy, which is my preference. Overall, I like the palette, and while it's not remarkable, it is reliable and I know exactly what I'm gonna get. So when I want something that is more soft and subdued, I'm not going for wild, bold, tropical bird sorts of colors. I want something downplayed and I know it's gonna fade. This is what I use and I'm happy with the result. Finally, I want to talk about the Through My Eyes palette. This is another collab that ColourPop did with I Love Sarai in this case. I think that this palette is underrated. I mean, again, this is not the most incredible quality. It is good. I would say it's better than the Jaclyn Cosmetics quality. I just really like this color story. I think it's very unique and I haven't seen a color story quite like this with the pink, burgundy, mauve, teal shades. And then this mustard yellow. I don't remember another palette that has those tones and shadow colors. I think this is pretty unique in its color story and I like it. I like the performance, I like the looks that I get from it. You can go quite warm or you can go cooler, you can go softer, lighter, or you can go darker. We've got some deepening shades, we've got light shades, we've got light mattes, a light shimmer. You can go more neutral because they're neutral, you know, there's bronze, a couple of browns, some more skin tone or bone colored shadows. You can go more colorful, obviously a bright reddish pink shimmer here, these over here. There's a lot going on in this palette and it's only 16 pans, but I think that it's really well chosen 16 pans. It's got versatility and it gives pretty eyeshadow looks. So I think that this palette is underrated and with these warm, bronzy, caramel apple kinds of tones, it's a really good pick for fall. So that wraps up today's video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Do let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite palettes for the fall season? Again, regardless of whether or not you do your makeup based on the season, what are some palettes that just make you think of the fall season? I try to do this video for each of the seasons. I wasn't sure if today's video was going to happen, but I'm glad it did. I had a snippet of time and I'm happy to present to you some of the most autumnal eyeshadow palettes in my collection. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for being here. Do remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. I do upload several videos a week and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye!